Okay, so we're going deep today, like really deep into a mystery that is honestly just truly baffling.
Baffling is, I think that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, let's unpack it.
Let's unpack it. So picture this, right? A family gone, just poof, vanished without a trace.
And not just like your average missing persons case. This is something else entirely.
Exactly. We're talking October 8th, 2009 in Red Oak, Oklahoma. That's the day their pickup truck turns up abandoned.
And what they found inside that truck is where things start to get really, really strange.
Oh yeah, the contents of that vehicle are like a giant flashing neon question mark.
Like a checklist of what not to leave behind if you're, intentionally going off the grid.
Okay, so think about this. Wallets, cell phones, their IDs, all right there in the truck.
But then you toss in Sherilyn's handgun and a cool $32,000 in cash.
Yeah, wait, $32,000 in cash?
Yep. That's right.
So right off the bat, it's like, okay, this isn't just a simple, car trouble situation.
It throws a huge wrench into any kind of straightforward explanation.
It's like the opposite of straightforward. It's like a winding road that leads you deeper and deeper into the woods.
And those woods are full of some pretty unsettling possibilities.
Oh, for sure. But before we go too far down that road, there's one detail from that initial discovery that I just can't shake.
I think I know what you're going to say. It's the dog, right?
It's the dog Maisie. They found her inside the truck, barely alive. I mean, can you even imagine?
It's heartbreaking. Honestly, it's one of the most gut-wrenching aspects of this whole case.
Right, like if they were leaving on purpose, you'd think they'd take their pet with them, or at least, make sure she was safe.
It adds this whole other layer of mystery to their disappearance.
For sure. It suggests either they left in a huge hurry, or something happened that prevented them from taking care of their dog.
Or maybe something happened to them.
Yeah, and that's what makes this surveillance footage from their home, just days before, so incredibly chilling.
Oh, that footage is straight out of a horror movie.
Right. It shows Bobby and Sherilyn making these repeated silent trips in and out of their house, loading up the truck.
And it's not just a few trips. We're talking over 20 times, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Like clockwork.
Exactly. And they're not talking to each other. There's no visible emotion. It's just this mechanical, almost robotic movement.
And that's what gets me. Like, what could possibly explain that kind of behavior in the days leading up to their vanishing act?
Right. It's like they're under some kind of spell or being controlled or something.
Some people have even suggested they might have been rehearsing. But rehearsing for what?
Rehearsing for their own disappearance? I mean, how do you even begin to wrap your head around that?
I don't know. It's like a puzzle where the pieces just don't fit together.
It's a puzzle with some crucial pieces missing.
Like the pieces that explain who Bobby and Sherilyn really were and what their lives were like back then.
Exactly. We need that context to even begin to make sense of this whole thing.
So let's fill in some of those blanks.
Yeah.
Bobby was 44 at the time and dealing with some pretty heavy stuff.
He'd been in a car accident a few years prior, and it left him with a disability, chronic pain, and struggling with depression.
Right? Life had thrown him a curveball, and he was trying to find his way back.
And Sherilyn was 40 and battling bipolar disorder, which, as we know, can be incredibly challenging.
And her diary entries from that time period they're really unsettling.
She talks about feeling possessed and seeing dark shadows.
Yeah, it's like she was fighting her own internal demons while this whole other external mystery was unfolding.
It's this really eerie intersection of personal struggles and strange unexplained events.
And those unexplained events, they get even stranger when you consider some of the rumors that were swirling around Sherilyn.
There were whispers about witchcraft and a fascination with communicating with spirits.
And it wasn't just idle gossip. We know that Bobby actually told a friend they were seeing spirits in their home.
They even went so far as to contact a local pastor to ask if their house could be haunted.
Right. So they clearly believed something was going on, something beyond the ordinary.
It paints a picture of a couple grappling with something really profound, whether it was rooted in mental health, external forces, or some unsettling blend of both.
It's like their reality had become distorted somehow.
And that distortion seems to have reached a breaking point in those final days before their disappearance.
And then there's the massive search that followed. I mean, the authorities pulled out all the stops.
They knew this wasn't your run-of-the-mill missing persons case.
They even brought in psychics, which tells you just how desperate they were for answers.
Yeah, that's a pretty unusual step for law enforcement.
One psychic even had a vision of a red flash in a cult.
Which, of course, just adds another layer of intrigue to this whole thing.
Right. But as intriguing as it is, we have to remember there's no concrete evidence to support any of that.
It's a prime example of how quickly speculation can take over. when you're dealing with a case this mysterious.
And then 4 years pass, 4 years of silence, no sign of the Jamison family anywhere.
4 years of agonizing uncertainty for their loved ones.
Until November 2013, when two hunters stumble upon a gruesome discovery.
They find skeletal remains about 3 miles from where that abandoned truck was found.
And those remains are positively identified as Bobby Sherilyn and their daughter Madison.
It's a tragic end to a story that was already shrouded in so much sadness and confusion.
But even with the discovery of their remains, the mystery only deepens.
Because there's no visible trauma on the bones, no signs of a struggle whatsoever.
And to make matters even more perplexing, the official cause of death is undetermined.
Undetermined. It's like they just laid down and died.
It's a conclusion that raises more questions than it answers.
It defies logic. It defies explanation.
It's like the final piece of this puzzle is missing the piece that would make everything click into place.
And without that piece, we're left with theories, speculation, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
So let's dive into those theories, because in a case like this, theories are all we have to go on.
One theory is that they stumbled into something dangerous, maybe a drug deal gone wrong.
That's definitely a possibility, especially with that large amount of cash in the truck.
But there's no evidence to suggest they were involved in any kind of criminal activity.
So it's a theory, but a theory with some pretty big holes.
Then there's the theory that maybe it was a murder-suicide.
That's a dark thought. But the presence of Sherilyn's gun does make you wonder.
Could this have been a tragic pact between them, a way out of their struggles?
But if that was the case, you'd think there'd be some kind of note or message left behind.
Right. Something to explain their actions.
And there wasn't.
So again, it's a theory that's hard to fully support with the evidence we have.
Another theory that's been thrown around is that they were involved with a cult,
And there are some elements that do seem to point in that direction.
like Sherilyn's diary entries, her talk of feeling possessed.
And there was a report of a satanic Bible being found at their home.
Plus, Bobby supposedly had a list of people he believed were part of a cult that was targeting them.
It's a chilling thought that they might have been living in fear of this unknown group.
But again, there's no concrete proof to back it up.
Just a lot of unsettling possibilities.
Yeah, we can't rule out the possibility of a more conventional explanation, like accidental death.
They could have gotten lost in the wilderness, succumbed to the elements.
It's a vast area, and wouldn't be the first time something like that happened.
Especially if they were unprepared or disoriented.
But then there's that lack of any struggle. No signs of a fight for survival.
Which brings us to the most out there theory of them all, the supernatural.
Right. That maybe something otherworldly was at play here.
Their trance-like behavior in the footage Sherilyn's writings about feeling possess their fear of spirits.
It's enough to make you wonder if there are forces beyond our understanding that could have influenced their fate.
It's a theory that's hard to dismiss completely when you consider all the strange circumstances surrounding this case.
But at the end of the day, we're still left with that fundamental lack of answers.
No arrests, no definitive conclusions from law enforcement, just a cold case file and a family lost to the unknown.
So what are we left with then? A truck full of belongings, a diary filled with unsettling entries, and a set of skeletal remains found miles from civilization.
We're left with the haunting reminder that sometimes the truth remains just out of reach.
That despite our best efforts to understand, to make sense of things, some mysteries may never be fully solved.
And that perhaps the most unsettling truth of all is that we may never know what truly happened to the Jamison family.
And that's a thought that I think can stay with you long after this deep dive is over.
Because it forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge and the enduring power of the unknown.
It makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden out there in the shadows, waiting to be discovered, or perhaps forever lost to time.
And it leaves you, the listener, with a final question to ponder. In a world obsessed with finding answers, what does it mean when a mystery remains unsolved and the shadows refuse to recede?